from the Ticats Audio Network, this is Morreale and Hitch.
Well, welcome everybody to the Morreale and Hitch podcast on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Rob Hitchcock. We are going to have the greatest show ever tonight because our anchor, our co-host, our whatever you want to call him, Morreale, is actually not in town. He bailed on us, guys. He bailed on us about half an hour ago, or maybe an hour ago. He said he's traveling in Whistler, and he doesn't have very good cell connection up there. Come on, seriously?
Must be nice.
It was. We're gonna have a great show. We've got some great guests on, and they're actually on with me right now. Great friends, great teammates, and some real special news that we're going to share again with you all. And I hope everyone's doing well. And Butko just showed his face there, Oz. And you know we can make fun of him. We'll probably do that at the end of the show, just because we don't want to waste too much time. But you know he's one that we love to. The guys that listen to this on this show, for a lot of my buddies, just love having him on because we just get to crush him like we did in the locker room. With all the guys that we used to beat up and crush in the room. But he's a guy that we'll just take advantage of later on in the show. But right now I want to welcome Paul Osbaldiston, in other words, Ozzie, Darren Flutie, Wood. Welcome to the show, guys. We've got, I know this is your second, I think your third time, Oz, maybe? I don't even know. I think we had you on. This might be your third. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think.
I don't keep track.
And Wood, Darren Flutie, you were on with us, of course, a couple of months ago when we mentioned about you going up on the wall. And this is part of the show. We usually start out. Mike usually starts talking, and he doesn't stop. But we usually start talking about the season. And before we get into all these great things that we're going to talk about, guys, have you been following? I know Oz, you've been following the Ticats, and you know, when I look at the Eastern Division right now, and Toronto being 7-1, Montreal 5-3, and then of course, as bad as Hamilton has played, losing two quarterbacks that are 3-5, they're in third place and they're in a playoff spot. So we can't say too much. But then you look at the West, and BC and BC and Winnipeg both at 7-2. What are you guys thinking of the season so far in the East, especially? Anyone?
I feel bad for Morreale, first of all, because I know how hard it is to get service at Whistler. That's why all the Olympic coverage that they had up there was, no one saw the Olympic Games, I guess. Yeah, guys, we all played in this league long enough. It's all who's hot and healthy at the end. Doesn't matter if you finish in third, second, or first. I won 2 Grey Cups in second place, lost 2 in first. And, the Cats right now obviously need to, break a trend that's been going on for a while, and that's turnovers and bad penalties at bad times. And I think if they can clear that up, they've certainly got the personnel, they've certainly got the coaching staff. They can still make something very, very good of this season. And, all they've got to do is finish ahead of that fourth place team in the West. And they've got a chance to finish ahead of Ottawa and even Montreal. So I just think that they need to, like I said, eliminate those costly penalties at the wrong time and some turnovers, and they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Well,
Darren, how about you, buddy?
You guys are a lot closer to it than I am, but I did talk with Danny today, and we were talking about getting in town tomorrow. Yeah. So he gave me a rundown of the whole CFL. So I had D-Mac's view of it, which was basically BC and Winnipeg out west. He said Edmonton, as bad as they are at 0-9, and that's the game we'll be up for, I guess, or I'll be up for. Yeah. He says they aren't an 0-9 team. They're better than that, but that's Mac's take on it. And, from what I heard about Hamilton, again, they have a great defense. I think from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, their offense just has to find its stride, and they still got half the season to go. So a lot of time to do that.
Well, we were, welcome again, guys. Meetsy and I were talking about 2 weeks ago, guys. There's my dog.
No, I've never.
Can't hear him?
Can't hear him. What? I didn't hear anything.
Oh, sorry about that. You know what? That's okay. We were talking about 2 weeks ago with regards to Oh my God, he got me all flustered here, this damn dog, and I kick him in the face. Has there ever been a crossover in our time? We don't remember of it, of the East going to like a Western team. So like fourth place team in the East, could that happen? I don't even know if it's in the rule book because the West has five teams and the East has 4. So if the fourth place team in the East has a better record than the third in the West, do they go over?
I believe so.
Yeah? That's a question I don't think has ever came up because it's never happened.
Oh, I think it's happened.
Has it ever happened? I don't think
it
so.
hasn't?
No.
I felt like it happened, or at least the scenario was talked about. I can't remember a specific time, but I mean, if they have a better record, right, they'd cross over. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. What's the difference between, you can't create a rule like that and have it one-sided because one division has 5 teams.
Yeah.
You know, it was all about that last playoff spot where, you know, they didn't want a team that was, you know, 5-13 to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it worked. I believe it works both ways.
Well,
I could be wrong. I mean, who knows? They change the rules all the time, and used to pay attention to them. I don't so much anymore.
We should look at that. We'll get Bucko to look in on it. But I mean, Edmonton 0-9 and Calgary 3-6. I mean, they're the same as Ottawa in the 4th right now. So, anyways, there's lots of football to go. But the reason for this show, and again, we're just I'm super excited. I know Oz is super excited. Darren, as you know, of course, they're coming up here in a couple of days. Wednesday, I think, is the meet and greet over at the Moxies at Centennial Parkway, and there's going to be a bunch of us up there to celebrate your induction to the Wall of Honor. You know, we talked to you a couple months ago, and we're just ecstatic that you're picked. And I was thinking to myself the other day. I think it's getting more and more special and dear to my heart, and I know it's dear to the guys' hearts that are on it, Ozzie and Mumford and D-Mac, because I look at that wall now, and there's like 5 of us that from the 99 team that are on that wall. So those guys are 2 things. We're some decent players, that's why we're going up, but we're also getting old, guys. So like, what is that? I know we asked you before, Darren, but what does it mean? I mean, this is old to you. What are you on 2 walls right now? Aren't you on BC and Edmonton's wall? Like, this is old school for you right now, isn't it?
Well, first of all, it would never get old because it's always it's a reminder of the days I spent in Hamilton and our teammates, which I thought was just the best locker room I've ever played in. But I mean, I was fortunate enough to go up in British Columbia. That was, I forget, that might have been pre-COVID or right after COVID. And now Hamilton, but no, I didn't go up in Edmonton. I was two years there, so no. But Hamilton just seems special. It was kind of when I was at the peak of my career, and then coming out here with Danny and with Coach Lancaster to what we knew was a good team. Like, I really thought immediately we'd be good. And I remember Coach Lancaster always telling me, listen, don't say that to the press. You know, you don't know what the first year is going to be like. I'm like, well, why wouldn't we be good? They were good the year before. Their defense was outstanding. As long as we move the football a little bit, we'll be good. And I love going back to those years and thinking about it. I mean, 98's 25 years ago?
Yeah.
But I can remember everything like it was yesterday. I can really just play it all over in my head. So obviously it's special. It means a lot to me.
Hey, Oz, how about you, bud?
Yeah, you know, you used to see names go up on the Wall of Honor that you watched as a kid. And then, you know, gentlemen that you knew because you were playing, and then all of a sudden it's your teammates going up there. You're right, we're getting old. That's a really good indication of, you know, how old you are is how many teammates you have up on these enshrinements here. But I'm like Darren, you know, and you as well, Hitch. You know, the honor of that is indescribable, you know, and I think if you go to most players and say, would you rather be up on your Wall of Honor or the Hall of Fame? Most of them would pick, you know, the Wall of Honor. There's far few players on the Hamilton Tiger Cat, you know, Wall of Honor than there are in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. You know, it's the who's who have played, you know, who played for that organization for such a long period of time. And Darren's right, you know, sitting the year before when we did lose a lot of games, but they were close. Never did I expect that the addition of just 3 gentlemen would turn us around as quickly as we did. And Darren's right, that locker room became very, very special because the personalities were allowed to come through to control it, to run it, to make it what we wanted to be, to know that we would be successful on the football field. Added with a whole lot of insanity, it worked. And I've never had so much fun on the field, and I know definitely none of us have ever had as much fun off the field as those few years when those 3 wonderful gentlemen showed up.
Yeah, well said, buddy. One thing I remember, and we might have alluded to this, in our past conversations, but it's nice to bring it up again. Darren, when we talked about this, Ozzie and I came in 95. When you guys came in 98, like you said, we were a good team. Our record didn't reflect how bad our record was. We were a lot better than that. And when you guys came in, and I'll never forget this, when I think it was Ozzie, I think D-Mac, Flutie, there was a couple other guys. I was actually involved in that, kind of just sitting back because I'm listening to the old vet guys go through this. But Ronnie Lancaster took a bunch of us aside. And I'll never forget it. He's like, you guys, and pointed mainly at you, Ozzie and Danny and the guys that were been in the league for a while, said, you're going to police the locker room. And that's it. And I didn't know anything about policing a locker room because, Don Southern, God rest him, unbelievable coach, different coaching philosophy than Ronnie had, but still expected the best out of you. And I think that what I liked about it is that he just let us control that locker room. And I can tell you, and in that same sentence, I can say, and I think you guys will agree, there could be 15, 20 more guys on the wall just from that team that we played with. Like there is that team that we had in 98, 99, 2000, and even 2001. I thought were some of the best teams that we've ever had. And Ozzie, you've been there a long time on a lot of teams before me. And I can say that because I've never played on those other teams, but if you can comment on that, that would be both you guys who would comment on it, because Darren, you've been in the league, a lot longer than I have before I came in. So,
well, I mean, I can only speak as someone coming into that locker room. I didn't know before what the locker room was like, but I know that we had enough experience and enough guys that had been around that if Ronnie I call him Ronnie, Coach Lancaster, just let us be ourselves and take over and work hard and become the best football players we could, which that's what the atmosphere was. It was work your ass off, be the best you can be. But yeah, I mean, you're playing pro football, have some fun while you're doing it. And with that atmosphere, winning, if you have the players, and we certainly had the players, winning will take care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many unbelievable football players over that short period of time. Unfortunately for a lot of the guys that didn't play long enough, I think, for the organization to get their names up on the wall. But as far as talent goes, absolutely they were, and Darren's got it bang on, like you said, Ronnie's the guy that came in, and there was nothing wrong with our locker room before, the gentleman showed up. Our team was lacking, I think, offensively, a little bit of leadership. And I think, at that period, I think I was, 12, 13 years into my career. And it's one of those life lessons where, you think you know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you realize there's still lots to learn. You're never too old to learn. Football is a type of occupation and a game that you never stop learning at. You're always learning, even until the time you retire and you go, oh, geez, hey, I'm still learning. And I think Darren and Danny and Coach Lancaster taught me a lot in a very short period of time. To me, it felt like it was just the missing link, and in ways that you can't describe it. But to me, it was just the missing link of taking my game and our game and the team's game to the next level. And I don't even really know if Danny and Darren and Ron knew how to do it. It's just the way they did things. If you could can it, you'd be a billionaire, and you'd be able to turn any sports franchise in the world into the next World Series champs or NBA champs or NHL champs. But it's one of those things where you can't put your finger on anything. You can't describe it. You can't create a recipe for it. It just happens or it doesn't. And for us, it definitely happened. And I would have never guessed that our success would have been so fast and so hard, but it was.
Yeah, well said. Well, it's been 25 years. Wood, you put it in perspective, buddy. That's a long time ago. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this and why we're on this show, because we can talk till we're blue in the face about what we did in the locker room, because we've got a million stories that we could go through. But this week's a real special one. Darren Flutie going up on the Wall of Honor. I think you're the 26th guy. I think there was a 24th a couple of years ago. So I think Danny went up last year before you. So I think you're the 26th or 27th. I'm not quite sure, Darren, but we're so excited. I don't know if you know, but Ozzie is going to be your master of ceremonies, your whatever you want to call him. He's going to be that guy, and I know that he is ready for it. And I
figured nobody else wanted to do it, or everybody was busy.
Yeah, they asked Morreale first, but he doesn't get cell service. But
that's right. Yeah,
but he is going to be that guy for you, Darren. We are all going to be there. I know Wednesday night it does start. Mike, if you can believe it, he did text me and say that, can you please make sure you tell the boys that I am coming home early. I'm like, oh, good for you. You're coming home early for Darren. You're doing him a favor. Hey, Oz? So he is coming back early, but Wednesday night at Moxie's, we're gonna have a good turnout of guys that we played with. Who knows who's going to be showing up? I don't know the list, but I know that we're gonna have a good time at that night to recognize you, buddy. Well deserved. And what's Oz? Have you got anything under your sleeve that you can say anything to these guys, to us about right now, or is it all under hat?
Oh, you know what? I think when you reach these pinnacle moments, it's short, sweet, and classy. And we'll joke together about Darren's idiosyncrasies and how funny he is on and off the field. And but the honor is definitely a classy event. So
of course,
I think we'll get a lot of stories out on Wednesday night. You're right. We do have a million stories we could tell about that team. We probably have 2 million that we can't tell about that team. And thank God there wasn't cell phones everywhere when we played. It's Darren's night. Well deserved, well earned. And I want to focus on that. People know what a great football player he was, but I don't think people understand how great of a mentor he was, how great of a friend he was.
Well, so, hey, Darren, Thanks, he's getting old, bud? Because 20 years ago, you would have been dead. You would have been dead.
Well, it's funny, I think most people just think, I practiced at receiver all day, every day. But Ozzie and I probably spent more time together than Danny and I spent, because we have to, go off and spend good quality time with the snapper and get the holds down, get the kicks down. I've always, I held in British Columbia with Saglia also. And you can't help but to get to know each other well and become friends. And over the years, Ozzie and I became good friends, great friends, just spending all that time together.
How many of Ozzie's balls did you hold over your career?
Oh, God.
Footballs? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, footballs.
All but two.
Just two, right here on your chin.
2001, 2. Yeah, 5 years together.
They were roommates for a while too.
That's right.
I lived with Darren. Darren lived with me, and we used to play the guitar. We'd have a couple of glasses of wine at night, watch some movies. We both at that time of our life just wanted to be home and have a simple life. And Darren more than anything missed his wife and his family. And I think Terry was very happy that he had someone that would help take care of him when she wasn't around and the kids weren't around, because I know how hard it was on Darren, every September or after Labor Day when his family went back to Boston. All of a sudden he's all alone again, and he missed them terribly. He's a great family man.
Yeah, I agree. And he didn't want to live with Morreale or Grigor, so I don't know why.
No,
at that time.
That was a tough time, though. That's right. You were great, and I appreciated that.
We are with Osbaldiston and Darren Flutie. We were just talking about some good old stories that we had, and one of them was, remember, our lovely friend that's in the top right corner of us has never brought his wallet ever to a road game. I don't even think he brought it to games that we were at home, because I think you said earlier, I think we used to get about $80 in per diem money for $120 we used to get for 2 days. And Ozzie just said he comes back with $250. I don't know how he did it, but are you going to bring your wallet this week, Wednesday or Thursday, or Ozzie? Are we okay to get him on this?
I was actually hoping you guys would cover me.
Well, we'll get what we always used to get, which is I'll catch you guys at the club. Now, the problem was we're already at the club. He meant the next club. Yeah, I think he meant the next club in 2036.
Oh my. Flutie, I don't know how you managed to eat great meals, had maybe a couple of drinks after the game, or even before the game, the night before the game. Maybe we had a glass of wine or something before, but I don't know how you managed to come home with so much money. It boggles my mind, because we used to come back broke. Ozzie, I remember me and Grigor used to go out a couple times, and we'd have no per diem money left the night before a game.
Well, I wouldn't eat before a game.
What I do remember about Darren very distinctly was that whenever we went on a road trip, he never came out for any meal or any entertainment the night before the game. He was always right into his bed and asleep until the next day, at noon or 2 o'clock, he'd finally crack the eyes open and get out of bed.
That's true.
He was amazing. As soon as he sat down in the plane, he was out, and he never woke up till the next day. I was so jealous. I wish I could have done it.
Oh,
hey,
man.
Dan, you got to tell us your little, we used to go out and have a nice dinner. Like, that was our thing, right? We love a nice dinner, maybe one glass of wine night before a game. When practice ended, we had a little walkthrough. I remember, you would get to the hotel and be pop, good night, and you'd be gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how?
Well, we had young kids then too. So every road trip was like my chance to kind of catch up on some sleep. But I did like that. I didn't like eating a lot, either the night before or the day of a game, which was tough with night games, but that's just the way I was. I didn't like to eat a lot before that. So I wouldn't do the dinner, and I'd try to knock out as quickly as possible. Like, we'd have a practice, and if we were on the road, I'd try to get a lift in somewhere, and then I'd try to go back to the room and just sleep.
Well, hence the $250 of per diem. That's why, because you didn't eat or drink anything. So I guess we're wrong, Oz. We knew his method of madness now. Oh my God!
There were a ton of nights where it was
he was a
I only have U.S. money, and I don't have any change. There's always something. Just a coincidence.
Yeah, no doubt.
After he had been in Canada for 6 months, he only had U.S. dollars.
Yeah, 12
must
years.
Have paid you in U.S.
6 months
cash.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, again, man, you are being inducted to the Wall of Honor this Thursday. Game against the Edmonton Elks. There's another thing. Did you hear about the Washington Redskins? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did hear that. I saw that today. It's all coming back around, isn't it?
They all wanted to come back around. So someone said to me today, they said, someone should talk to Edmonton and get the Eskimos back instead of the Elks. Maybe they'll win a game. I'm like, oh, that's pretty harsh. But you are going up, Darren. You're going up on the wall with 26 of us and 5 of your former 99 Grey Cup teammates. And again, I can't say how proud I am of you, and call you as a friend and an awesome teammate. And I know Ozzie, of course, feels and thinks the world of you as well, along with the many guys that you played with over your career, and well deserved. And I know you said it earlier in the show, but when you came into Hamilton, a sense of you were later on in your career, to play that many seasons in the CFL and to have such success and being so successful in Hamilton as well. What did it mean to you when you came into Hamilton, and now you've got this honor, you're going up? And it's just, for me, when I first heard it, and I know Oz was in the same boat, it's kind of, you don't know what to think or say. It doesn't really sink in until the day. Like when Bob Young told me 5 months before I was going in, I was like, yeah, that's great. And it sunk in like this week. And, when you're traveling here, like, just tell us a little bit about that venture and, in Hamilton, and how you, how you came about to being such a dominant player in this league for so many years.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm not sure I was that dominant, but I appreciate it. I think the experiences we have before we get there, right? We all think of the time we spent together. So it starts in 98 in training camp, and we move on from there. But I really think of my time with Danny, both in British Columbia, where that 94 season was so amazing. And even 95, I was hurt for a lot of it, but that was a great year, especially for Danny. And then 96, 97, we spent in Edmonton, which I thought Danny was amazing in Edmonton. For what we had as a group, he really played great. And then 97, they want to get rid of him. And that's what really upset me. Like, they were asking me to come back. Archer was coming in. I think Kay Stevenson was the coach. They were asking me to come back, but they were going to get rid of D-Mac and bring in David Archer. And I'm like, that's not apples to apples. David Archer, he's fine, but he's no Danny Mac. So I knew, that was kind of unfair to Danny. So when Danny said, hey, what do you think about going to Hamilton? I was like, I am in. I'm 100% in, because that's a very good football team that all they need is like a good leader like D-Mac, who's just a steady, great quarterback. And the rest of us will just fill in the places on offense, and we'll win games with our defense until we get it going. And we got it going pretty quickly, I think, on offense. So it really came together quickly. I expected that. I guess maybe Coach Lancaster and Danny didn't expect it as much. But it's the CFL, right? Every year is so valuable. We were talking about that, like, especially as a receiver, defensive back. I mean, you got 11, 12 years to play if you're lucky. And every one of those years means so much. So to let a year go by when you have the team that can get it done. I mean, I'm still upset we didn't win the Grey Cup in 98, and I played so crappy in that 98 Grey Cup. No, but we got 99. We got it in 99. That's good enough.
That is good enough. But we could have went on a good run there, eh? We could have. Yeah. Hey, what's that? We could have, Oz. We could have. We should have.
Should have. Should have. Could have. Would have. I don't want to hear it.
Earl Whitfield. Oh, I loved it. Well, is it? Or sorry, Darren. Is it sinking in yet? Because it is a big deal. Ozzie mentioned, and he made a great point earlier in the show about, there's so many guys in the Hall of Fame, but to actually go up into the stadium and be one of 26 guys that have a history in Hamilton of 132 years history, like it, being a Hamilton kid, it really took to me that week when I was, especially on my way to the stadium. And I know Ozzie can feel, and he'll talk about it after you do, but what does that mean? Is it starting to kick in right now, or is it just another, I'm just going to get in there and do my thing?
No, it kicked in instantly when Bob Young called me and told me that I would go up on the Wall of Honor this season. I knew from being at last year's event, and just from being around the CFL, that the quality of people that are up on that wall, the quality of people I got the opportunity to play with in my short time in Hamilton, and the players that are up there, I kind of spent my whole career trying to not get noticed, go under the radar a little bit and make plays where and when I can. But not bang my chest too much because I don't want anyone to notice me, and maybe they won't notice I have some catches or whatever. But then you finish 12 years of playing and you look back and you're like, wow, that's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
What I was able to accomplish in those years. And I just think first of all, it's very special to be in that group of people. I think Ozzie said it earlier. It's like more prestigious than going into the CFL Hall of Fame because it's such a finite number of men that have done that. You got to play 5 years or more, and you got to play at a very high level to get up on this wall. And you just look at the names and it's a special group. So yeah, I got that pretty much right away.
That's awesome. How about you, Oz? When you heard the news, what same sort of thing?
Yeah, you're overwhelmed. You're right, Hitch. It doesn't hit you right away. You have that. I was also very fortunate that Bob Young was the gentleman that called me and let me know. But I remember earlier in my career and, kind of mid-career, watching guys like Ben Zambiasi go up, Les Brown, Rocky DiPietro, Grover Covington, guys that I played with when I was a young football player. So to me, it was always something that you don't even think about when you're in your first, fourth, fifth, sixth year. Those guys are untouchable. They're the guys that people talk about around town. And you get the phone call and it hits you pretty hard, like, wow, and you've got some news, and then it seems like a great deal of time passes. And then all of a sudden the week's here. And then, when you see the circumstance of it, you see your name go up next to everybody else's up there, and you're in that group now. It's a little overwhelming, and it is extremely special. It really hits you right in the heart that, wow, like Darren said, this is something that you are extremely proud of. And, it's funny looking up at the wall there. For the most part, one of the biggest things I was impressed with Danny and Darren when they came is that it was leadership through example. It wasn't leadership through talk. It was on the field. It was, this is how you practice. This is how you play. This is how you act on and off the field. It was leadership by example, not by verbal, instructions, or you should do this, you should be this. It's, here's what I am, here's what I do. And if you're smart enough, which most of us were, you recognize it and you understand that, wow, like I said, they taught me a lot when they came, those three fellas. And that was the biggest thing. I was like Darren, I never wanted to be recognized. I, didn't do a dance or anything after I kicked a field goal, even a game-winning one. I'd rather celebrate with my teammates and get in the locker room and have a few beers with them and celebrate some more. It was about us, and it was about winning. It was about doing your role to put other guys in the position for them to be successful, and I think our whole team was built on a bunch of football players that would rather go unnoticed and win than catch 6 touchdown passes or make 3 interceptions and lose, and have their name in the paper the next day. That was the leadership that Darren brought.
Yeah. Well, I'm just proud and honored to say that I'm on the wall with you two. And it's, I look at you two as role models to me when I first came in. And for me to be up there and to have you two guys on this show right now is just, not only as my close friends, it's just, it's a dream come true for a Hamilton kid, especially. And, I'm truly blessed and honored, you guys. And hey, Darren, I remember in 1999 when we had such a good special teams group. Do you remember this on the wide angle end zone copy of when we used to watch the rundown tapes when Ozzie would kick his kickoff? He would kick it off, and all of a sudden he knew we were going down there to make a tackle. He'd pick his tee up and just walk off the field.
I don't remember seeing that.
You got to stop telling that story because it was one game. It was one game when I was hurt and I was instructed.
That's what I was going to say.
Specifically by the head coach not to run down the field. I made my fair share
that
of
was
tackles.
a joke.
It
was a joke.
We made 10 special teams tackles in a year. I made a lot. They never counted track of them when I started, or I would have been right up there close to you.
The ring is the thing.
That's right.
Well, guys, listen, we're not going to take too much more of your time. I want to thank you two, especially for making the time to come on the show today. Morreale couldn't make the time for you two, and we're going to have to get him on Wednesday. But I really want to thank you guys for making the time. Come on out to this show, and you're listening to the Morreale and Hitch podcast. Actually, we're going to call it the Hitch podcast today with two special guests, Paul Osbaldiston and Darren Flutie. I love you guys. I'm so looking forward to see you on Wednesday. And this is the Hamilton's Audio Network, the Ticats Audio Network. Guys, enjoy yourselves. We'll see you on Wednesday. And love you, man.
Thanks, Hitch. Thanks, Oz.
Hold on a sec.
I'm sorry Mike missed it. Mike's on a skiing trip in August.
That's another episode of Morreale and Hitch on the Ticats Audio Network. Have a question or a comment for them? Email us at manh@ticats.ca. That's MANDH@ticats.ca.